There's a monumental heritage in Dayton and the Dayton region in the history of aviation, but it goes much deeper than that. Along with the Wright brothers was Charles Kettering, who was changing the world every day. The sense of invention in Dayton, Ohio is amazing. I mean, another short walk from Sinclair is Central Avenue's 10 minutes this way. That's where Charles Kettering's barn gang met. That's where they figured out, they invented the electric starter. They put tetraethyl lead in gasoline to create high-octane gasoline, which, by the way, 20 years after that, made the difference in World War II for Allied fighters to have air superiority. That gasoline invention in Dayton, Ohio, won the Air War in 1944. The development of the jet engine during World War II was, Wright Field ran that. And then they built the jet engine based on an English design, but they felt that the best place to build it was General Electric, which was down the road. So there's a connection with that, and it just keeps going.
I think one of the things that is really important about Sinclair and our aviation program is that it exists in Dayton, Ohio, which is the birthplace of aviation. It's really exciting and gratifying to me to be working in a place that's less than 2 miles from the site where the Wright brothers built the first airplanes. And to be kind of moving in their legacy here at Sinclair is really a part of what being here is all about for me. We really try to instill in our students, an excitement and appreciation for the fact that they're here in Dayton, Ohio. They're studying aviation here, and that's pretty special.
Well, it makes it reachable for maybe an inner city kid who really wants to fly but never thought they could even get there. That's what matters. It's a huge, but there's a real vision to the future that Sinclair has that is over and over again been a part of Dayton's history.
When I got out of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know at all. How I got started in aviation is kind of not standard because I really didn't have anybody I could look up to who was a pilot or even in the aviation field. My mom helped me with this journey. She kind of was the one who introduced me to the program. And she took me to the airport and you see airplanes taking off and you're kind of amazed. And the next week I started class and I really didn't know if I was able to do something like this. But when I got in that pilot seat and took off for the first time, it was definitely love at first flight. Sinclair is my first chapter of aviation. I had 2 weeks of ground school and I jumped in the airplane. I was like, wow, you're letting me fly this thing already? That was a pretty amazing feeling. They don't waste any time. You get right to it. It's very hands-on.
Sinclair has a professional pilot associate's degree program that's been around for almost 15 years now. It is a very comprehensive program that includes 5 FAA pilot certificates. So at the completion of this associate's degree, one of our students is going to have all of the FAA credentials that are required to go on and start building their flying time toward eventually being an airline or a corporate pilot.
My name is Paige Kakis, and I am the flight school manager and the chief flight instructor for aviation sales who works for Sinclair offering our flight training. We actually have the flight instructors here at the airport. So our flight instructors are teaching you in your classrooms, but they're also teaching you in our airplanes. So we have our airplanes and our flight instructors, and they're the ones that are going to take you from no knowledge all the way to your license.
We are at Dayton Wright Brothers Airport in Miamisburg at ASI Flight Academy. So ASI is the exclusive flight training vendor for Sinclair's airplane and fixed wing flight students. They've been working with Sinclair since 2008 as the exclusive training partner. They've had a wide number of students who have been able to go through the program and pick up a variety of pilot ratings, and I'm excited to say that I was one of those pilots. I got my instrument rating here several years ago. So students who go through the program with ASI Flight Academy are able to train in airplanes just like the ones behind us. We've got 3 Cessna 172s behind us, which are used in a variety of different ratings here. Someone could train all the way from the private pilot license through to the CFI, all the ratings that they would do in a single engine plane, they could do in a Cessna 172. ASI has been a great partner of Sinclair's over the last decade or so. It's been a great relationship. The training is high quality. The instructors and the equipment are high quality. They take care of the airplanes they have here. It's fantastic working with them.
My name is Jeremy Baker, and I'm one of the flight instructors for the helicopter program here at Sinclair College. I started flight training about 5 years ago now, and got into it, and now I'm instructing and teaching. It's a lot of fun. Some of the best experiences in flying helicopters that I've noticed is just the view, being up above the world, peaceful, quiet, and just watch out for the birds and bird's eye views. The helicopter behind me is a Robinson R44. It's our primary instrument trainer. We use this one because of the weight issues we would have with an R22. We can haul more fuel, more time up in the air, and just better all-around experience as far as instrument flying and getting more time in and being able to do the whole process of a instrument flight instead of just doing portions of it. You get the whole experience.
I actually taught at the U.S. Air Force Academy, teaching cadets there and going through what their initial screening process to see if they were going to be able to even fly for the Air Force. From there, I did some flight training in Chicago for fairly big flight outfit out of there, and they actually taught their own pilots, a commuter airline as well. And we are, I would say, head and shoulders above at least the second one, and at least on par with the Air Force Academy.
It's phenomenal. You just can't believe how many people came through this program and working right now in the industry. It's amazing. I always say this is like a little gem that's hidden away that nobody sees, and once you get up close to it, you realize, man, this is precious.
I go to school at Sinclair. I am still currently a student. This is my last semester before I graduate. My experience at Sinclair has been very hands-on. Being able to learn the material in the classroom and then take that and apply it in the aircraft out at Aviation Sales. So yeah, I mean, I've had a ton of fun with it, because as I've been finishing my flight training, I've been able to branch out more and more into different aircraft and different types of flying. I will be the first female to graduate from the program with all of my pilot ratings and my flight instructor's license since 2007.
Most people don't know how to get into aviation, so you start with no hours at all, but what we do is we provide instructors to train you on the ground so that you have all the ground knowledge that you need to be a good pilot, and then we also do your flight instructing too. So you get into an airplane with your flight instructor and you learn how to start to fly.
It's great to be a female in this field and to have been able to come so far through Sinclair especially. I don't think I would have had this opportunity or half of the flying opportunities that I've been able to experience had I not come through the Sinclair program. My advice to anyone coming through the program or thinking about going into aviation would be that it is possible, no matter how big and daunting it seems. I am proof that this does not have to be a male-dominated field. Women belong in aviation. Women can be great in aviation and as pilots.
I kind of grew up with the people here, like with the lingo and everybody just helping me out. That's what I've gained through Sinclair, is a community. That's what I really love about here. After I complete all my licenses, I want to become an airline pilot. I want to be an airline pilot because, first of all, you have a great view, like beats a desk for sure. And I just want to travel, see the world, and do my favorite thing is fly. I don't think it's weird for me to be in like a male-dominated field, because I kind of felt like I'm one of the guys sometimes. I have a funny sense of humor. I always like to joke. When we're in class, I'll turn around and be like, oh, what'd you get on your test? And show them my grade, show them up. So, you know, there's definitely ups and downs. You know, sometimes I wish there was more women that I could relate to, but there's also, you know, groups out there like Women in Aviation, 99 clubs. But there's definitely women that I can reach out to and talk to.
I've always loved flying, anything to do with airplanes and weather. My grandfather was a pilot just for fun, recreationally, and he always had given me a pretty good interest in it.
If I didn't go to Sinclair, I don't think I would be as confident, just because I felt like they gave me time to grow up in this career field, or just in my licenses. They really helped me become the person I am today, the pilot I am today. I definitely respect my professors just because like the experience they have in their fields. I really try to listen to them and take all the information that they give me and put it to use. I love all the professors. They're definitely I love how diverse they are. You can There's a military guy, there's an airline pilot, there's someone who's an aircraft dispatcher. There's a wide variety of people that aren't just like directed towards pilots. I'm definitely glad I went to Sinclair. I felt like, you know, if I didn't come across Sinclair, I don't even think I would be a pilot. So this is like, I felt like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Felt like it was, like I saw it and it was just meant for me, I don't know. Aviation is definitely a field that women should look into and definitely could be successful in too.
So I'm from South Florida. I moved up here for Sinclair, for the PSA cadet program actually. My boyfriend is an airline pilot for them, and we were choosing bases, and Sinclair was pretty much a no-brainer.
So with our cadet program here at PSA, it offers students at Sinclair the opportunity to join our program as soon as they're private pilot's license. They have then 2 other stages after they reach the cadet level to actually go through our program. So not only do they get the opportunity to, grow professionally, learn more about the industry, our company, they're going to have the opportunity to have the last interview of their career at the senior cadet stage. Then they're also going to have the opportunity to give back to Sinclair Community College as well as a flight instructor, instructing until they build their time and they reach their minimums to come to PSA. So it's a great opportunity.
So to be an airline pilot, I have to start off with some ground training, and as well as getting my degree. And you go through all of the licenses. So you have your private pilot, your instrument pilot, commercial, single, and multi-engine. And then if you want to be an instructor, you have to build hours. So ultimately, it's a race to get as many hours as you can to reach the 1,500 to go to the airlines.
So over the next 15 years, there's going to be a great need for American Airlines to hire their pilots, but then also for them to receive those pilots from the regional carriers such as PSA. So, there's really going to be an opportunity to just excel and grow in this industry as a pilot.
There's only a couple of girls in our program, but we have a good, strong group. It doesn't bother me at all. I like it. I mean, all of the girls, everyone has the same interests. We're just as good as the boys.
Dayton is, of course, the birthplace of aviation, and most of our people are from the Dayton area, so we love to grow our own pilots here in Dayton. And one of the advantages here is we do have one of the lowest costs in not only the state of Ohio, but in the actual U.S.
Oh, Sinclair's awesome. I mean, it's like a family. Everyone is really helpful from the second I came here. They direct you in the right path. I think that's the biggest problem with aviation programs is you don't have a set path. And if you have a set path, you know what you're up against.
Came in pretty much at the beginning of the aviation program here at Sinclair. The professors at that time, when I attended, had various backgrounds and a lot of experience throughout the business in multiple facets of ATC, piloting, dispatching, all kinds of stuff, aircraft mechanics. So the education, it was a really exciting place to be at that time because you really felt like you had people that didn't just sit in an institution and tell you about theories. You had people that had been part of the industry and were passing that experience on.
Right now, the demand for pilots in the aviation industry is at an unprecedented high. The economic expansion of airlines and corporate flight departments has driven a huge demand for pilots. There's also a demographic factor here where we've got a lot of retirements that are coming up that are driving additional hiring. So like anything else, demand generally leads to increased pay and increased benefits. And right now, the opportunities for very, very lucrative career, high-paying jobs exists in the aviation industry. Multiple six-figure salaries are ultimately possible once you build some experience in the industry.
Right now, just like they talk about, this will be the best time to buy a house in your life, and you'll never see mortgages this low. In aviation, this is probably one of the best times to be, in your early 20s. You have to be, obviously, I think it's 23 to still obtain an air transport license, but if you can get that done and get into the business, you're pretty much going to ride the upwave of this your entire career. There's not a better time to get into this business.
We're in a very dire situation in aviation right now. Now, the reason I say that is because we have an acute pilot shortage. We need pilots badly. And I'm talking all the way from the ground floor down at what they call the fixed-based operator level at the private little airports like around here and around Dayton, all the way up to the airline level.
As an industry, we are very, very short on pilots. We're talking at least tens of thousands per year, and it is something that is not going to change anytime soon. We're looking at least 20 years out.
There is a pilot shortage right now. We're living in it, and it's data shows that in 15 years, 75% of American Airlines pilots will be forced to retire because of the mandatory minimum age of 65 to do so.
We need pilots. Passenger traffic has grown exponentially. There's just not enough guys and gals to crew those cockpits, and we need them. We need them right now, as fast as we can get them. That's one of the reasons why the Sinclair program is uniquely positioned. And the PSA relationship is fantastic, being able to have a flow through, not just for pilots, for aircraft dispatchers, flight attendants. I've taught many flight attendants and dispatchers in numerous courses here.
Yeah, so with PSA, we're growing, and it's incredible. It's awesome. Right now, we currently have 135 jets in our fleet, and we have a growth plan in place to surpass 150. So we're going to be taking in 15 brand new CRJs, and with that just means more pilots. We currently have around 2,000 pilots in our pilot group, so there's definitely going to be a high demand for us. And not only just from flying the aircraft, that perspective, but there's also going to be a lot of opportunities to get involved outside of the cockpit. So for individuals that want to get involved in training, there's going to be opportunities to become a sim instructor. In the recruiting department, you can get into recruiting, even up to management as a chief pilot. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for PSA, and it makes it even more great because Sinclair is right in our backyard. Home headquarters, Dayton, Ohio. So it's just awesome to know that we're going to be able to have pilots come from Sinclair to PSA.
Once they understand what you do as a job every day, it's hard to keep them away. But getting that need and understanding that this can be something that is a lifelong job, and it's something that is very lucrative and actually affords you a lifestyle that very few other things can give you.
It's a very nice lifestyle. There's the possibility of lots of leisure travel. You can fly for free on the airline that you work for and for other airlines as well. Flexible schedules in terms of when you fly, when you're away from home, when you're working. Lots of other benefits associated with this job. So it's the time to pick a career in aviation.
We also offer a lot of different ways of learning some of the skills you'll need to be a pilot. We have access to simulators that have full motion simulator available at Sinclair that actually helps you learn the skills you're going to need in the airplane on the ground at a much lower rate than actually having to go fly the airplane.
From cost savings side, usually you're looking at, to get a private pilot license, somewhere in the neighborhood of $8,000 to $10,000. The next step, going to instrument rating, you're looking at another $5,000 to $8,000, depending on where you're going. Anytime that you can use the facilities like we have here, the Redbird simulators, that's going to knock down your costs substantially. I'm talking thousands of dollars in difference. Whereas other places that don't have that ability, you're stuck. You don't have a choice. You have to rent the airplane because it is all about time with the FAA, and if you don't have the time, you are not even eligible to sit for that test.
Sinclair does help a lot with the cost. They do offer a Redbird simulator and a PCAT simulator. So the Redbird has actual motion sensing, and the PCAT is more of like sitting at a computer desktop with a little extra features. They do have to be certified by the FAA, and it can count for your instrument hours. So for instrument, the goal is to be able to fly the plane without looking outside, simulating weather, and you can do that on the computer. If you didn't have the simulators, you'd definitely have to do more hours in the plane, which is more costly.
One of the ways that Sinclair has tried to make our program as cost-effective as possible is through the use of simulators. We have two very high-tech simulators that our students can use for a portion of their flight training. They're primarily used in the instrument training phase, where students are learning about how to fly the aircraft in non-visual conditions, in the clouds, in the rain, conditions where the lowest pilots, the least experienced pilots would have the most trouble in. So our simulators allow that training to take place on the ground in a very safe, controlled environment, and that really helps our students to save money and to get really important experience that allow them to be safe and effective in the air.
One of the advantages of having a device like this is many other colleges don't really have anything like this. It provides a real world feel applied to flight in a way that you can take lessons in this, save money, apply it to your rating, and get the flight training you need. Now, this is a little bit more specialized because you can pause and play, where in the real airplane you have to wait, take off again, turn around, where here you can kind of plug and play, drag and drop, and start off where you left off. Say you made a mistake. Okay, you plug and play, drag and drop, start over again, run through the procedure again, you're good to go. Another benefit of this is when the weather is really, really poor outside and you can't get up in the airplane, you just jump into this, you do your flight lesson, get the time in, no loss to you, but you still gain the proficiency that you would have had in the airplane. So this is kind of an added benefit, kind of a feather in the cap, I guess you could say, added to the aviation realm, as well as the other devices we have as well.
We use Redbird simulators here, which are simulators that completely comply with all FAA regulations, which means you can do quite a bit of training in it. When you're inside the trainer, it is a full motion simulator. It does move, so you get the sensation of what's going on. At the same time, we can take that simulator and instead of having, like in an airplane, have to fly 30 minutes just to get set up to do a maneuver, we can drag the airplane to that specific location and we can do 5, 6, 7 runs of the same situation that you may have problems with, instead of taking half an hour just to set up every time, which of course makes you, number one, a better pilot, safer pilot is what we want, and number two, you save money, because instead of having to take 2, 3, 4 flights where you're spending time with an instructor and paying for an actual airplane, we can wrap that up into an hour to a 2-hour session.
So the FAA has come out and looked at every single step of our school, and because of the way that we offer the knowledge and the flight training, they have approved us to have a much lower number of hours that are required to actually earn your license.
One of the great features of aviation employment is that you have access to aircraft to get where you need to go, and that includes getting to work. A typical airline employee does not live in the location that they actually report to work in. They're able to commute to their job on their company's aircraft. So in the course of an airline career, you're going to be stationed at multiple different airports around the country, and you don't have to move. You can stay wherever you want to be and just get on that airplane and fly to where you have to work. So huge benefit of this particular kind of job.
It's very possible for a person to live in Dayton and work for PSA. It's actually ideal, and you will definitely have a great quality of life. So we have several crew bases along the East Coast. However, Dayton is our headquarters, and it's actually one of our most junior domiciles. So it offers a great quality of life and career growth and development.
Here in Dayton, we have PSA Airlines that's headquartered at the Dayton International Airport. They're a local employer that is hiring at a very high pace. They're hiring over 500 pilots a year right now, and they would take every one of our graduates if as soon as they're available, if they could. So we're both meeting a local need and a worldwide need, literally, for professional pilots by having these programs here at Sinclair.
Well, Sinclair, we've got 5 different aviation programs that we deal in. So flight training, professional pilot for airplanes and helicopters, aircraft maintenance, unmanned aerial systems, which are drones. We also have the flight attendant program and the dispatch program. We've got a broad spectrum of aviation programs. We're the most diverse in terms of aviation in Ohio. We've got partnerships with PSA, working relationships with other companies in the area as well for placement of jobs. We've got the 4-year degrees coming for unmanned aerial systems and flight training. There are going to be some benefits, especially for new students as those come along as well.
Sinclair, they're going to give you, if you get the tech prep and all that, for ROTC specifically, if you're in it for 3 years, you get $3,000 in scholarships, which can potentially cover your first year at Sinclair. And then that's one less year off the load and everything, and you'll be ready to rock and roll.
Having the bachelor degree program is huge. It absolutely puts us in another league. It puts us with Embry-Riddle. It puts us in the neighborhood of University of North Dakota. Since most of you may not know, those are the big players. Those are the people who crank out the airlines, and that's where the airlines go to recruit. And I'm talking the big airlines, United, those type of people.
Well, Sinclair's about to offer a 4-year Bachelor's of Applied Science in Professional Pilot, and this is going to bring an additional level of education to our students. And it increases their credentials to the point where they're going to be more attractive to airlines in a general sense. It's going to build their flying time that they're acquiring while they're in an educational college level status. And ultimately, it's going to also reduce the number of hours that they have to fly in order to be able to gain airline employment. We get approval from the FAA to reduce those hours. So the combination of increased credentials, lower number of flight hours required for airline employment mean that the bachelor's degree in aviation from Sinclair would be a great value.
I think Sinclair Community College is a great school. I love it. It's a very family-oriented culture, I like to say. Here at PSA, our 5 imperatives are safety, reliable, passion, and professional excellence as far as respect. And every time I go to that campus, I see that embodied in that student organization there. So I really feel like their perspective really aligns with PSA's imperatives.
Oh, I had a great career. It was almost unique in that I was able to fly virtually the entire career and stay in the cockpit. I got to fly a variety of Air Force heavy transport airplanes all over the planet. So my experience was basically a dream come true. I couldn't have asked for a better result from following my passion, basically. So right now I'm just really thrilled to be here at Sinclair and being able to pass on some of that experience that I have and hopefully my passion for aviation to my students.